Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is it's 10 o'clock already, and welcome to our webinar for this morning. Kind of like a introduction, a refresher into eLEAP, or in some cases, I will call it by its actual name, Moodle. Moodle is a learning management system that we use in Unimas, and it is branded as eLEAP. So if you hear me say eLEAP and Moodle interchangeably, it actually means the same thing. So my name is Maclean. I am part of the Center for Flexible Learning, and we are the people in charge of eLEAP for Unimas. So for this morning, I am going to kick it off with some really fundamental and basic things you need to do in your eLEAP course homepage. So for some of you, this could be something that you have learned before. So treat this as a refresher course. For some of you, you've never gone through a training to introduce you to how to set up your course and things like that on eLEAP. This is a good place for you to kind of like lay the foundation to be built up later on. So this is very much the basics, and then it will be followed on by other webinars where we touch in more details the components of Moodle that you can use in your course homepage. Now, bear in mind, Moodle is a very, very extensive system. It's a very deep system. So there's a lot of things that would not be covered because it's just too many things to cover at one time. But you can actually explore Moodle on your own. They have at moodle.org, or you can Google Moodle itself. It will take you to the official website where there's a huge amount of documentation on how universities around the world are utilizing Moodle to run their online courses. So a little bit of history. We have been using Moodle since 2006, 2007, and I'm happy to say that Unimas is one of the top universities that use it early, and we are using it well. And kudos to all lecturers who have classes on Moodle and utilizing it. So congratulations to you guys. You guys are awesome. But for this morning, let's just go into what we have to offer in terms of the eLEAP homepage. So I'm going to share my screen at any time. If you can't hear me, let me know. If you can't see what I'm sharing, also let me know. Okay, and let's go into our Moodle page for this morning. Okay, when you log into eLEAP at eleap.unimas.my, you'll be taken to your dashboard. So I'm sure all of you are familiar with this view, course overview. For this morning's exercise, I actually set up a live classroom, which you can actually join. It's enrollment. You can self-enroll yourself to these courses that you see on screen. So for this morning, I'll be using CFlex Classroom, my Moodle Sandbox, LMS training. And then this afternoon, when I am talking about the various activities or tools you can use in your classroom, I'll be using this particular course called CFlex Classroom, Choosing the Right Tool. So at any time, you can self-enroll yourself into these courses to take a look. Some of these courses you'll be enrolled as students. Some of these courses you'll be enrolled as teacher. For this particular exercise this morning, if you go to my classroom, my Moodle Sandbox LMS training, you'll be enrolled as a teacher. So this is your dashboard. All of the courses that you are assigned to will appear here. So let's go into CFlex Classroom, my Moodle Sandbox. This is the general layout for your course homepage. So you have on your uh, left-hand side here your course index. On your right-hand side here, you have your block drawer. Uh, I understand that a lot of lecturers actually do not see this block drawer because it is closed. So to open it, you just click this little arrow button here. And then on top, you have your links to the main website, and in the center here, links to your course. So this is basically the layout of a normal Moodle course. All right. So now, when you first assign a course, now how the process goes, CPLEX will receive a list of courses under Borang Penawaran Kursus from the that has been approved, and we will set up the courses, and then we will assign the teachers to the courses based on the list that is submitted to us. So by then, when you log in, you have basically access to all the courses you are supposed to teach that semester. So when you first go into a course, one of the first things you should do is actually go into your settings to make sure everything is in order. So you have a course full name, course short name, and a course category. By default, CFlex, we will set this for you. So this is something that is needed, but you don't actually need to edit or change. Okay, and then of course, course visibility, you can show it. Then course start date and course end date. Now, course start date is particularly important if you are using a weekly format, because Moodle will calculate your weeks based on the start date itself. So if your start date is a Monday, which I would say should be what you set up, then every week will be counted from the Monday to the Sunday. So when you do a weekly format form of teaching, then your sections will be shown as weeks. So this is the importance of this particular thing. Then you have your description. This is put in a description of the course that you are teaching, and you can also put in a course image. Where does this course image appear? It appears in the dashboard. It just gives you this nice image or imagery of that particular course. All right. Was there a question just now? There. Okay. Next, under settings, course format. Okay. By default, if we select the format, by default, every course will start at custom sections. But in fact, you can change the course format. Now, this affects the way your sections are laid out. Okay, I'll give you this example. Right now, I'm using advisor course format because it gives me a little bit more things that I can add to the way my course is presented. So this is something you can use. A very popular one that is being used by our lecturers is the tiles format, whereby the sections are laid out in tiles. Okay, let me show you what that looks like. This is what tiles and advisor course format looks like. It lays out your sections as clickable tiles. Okay, so this is where you can actually change that here. So I do recommend trying out these two formats for your course, okay? Because on a mobile device, it is actually easier to see and easier to click on because it's basically tiles that they click on rather than having everything as a scroll down format. Right? This is where you appearance is where you set how many announcements that you want the students to see, basically in the announcement forum. That completion tracking. If by default it is set as yes, so a student, you can actually track whether a student is where they are at in doing their activities or reading your resources. But for the case of our sandbox, where I don't necessarily want to track what my participants are doing, I'll just set it to no. But this is something interesting you might want to turn on if you want to track the progress of your students in the classroom. This is for groups, whether you want to set group mode for this course. Separate groups mean they can only see members in their own group, and visible groups mean the various groups can see each other. This is actually very useful when you are doing some form of peer assessment or group activity, which I will touch on in the afternoon when we talk about activities. And tags, I will come back to this later on, especially in the activities this afternoon, to tell you a new way we are managing the activities assessment and in eLEAP when it comes to your blended learning status. Okay, so this is basically the settings for your course, which I highly encourage you to go through and to set according to what you feel is needed in your course. This requires a bit of experimentation, so do try this out. Okay, this is settings, things like that. Then, of course, you have a list of participants. I see some of you are already in here. Thank you very much. Come in and try out some of these things. I will touch on grades a little bit later. Activities is a list of all the activities in this particular course that I have set up. And of course, there are various other functions for this particular course. But today, we just want to touch on the basics to get you started. On your right-hand corner, when you open your block drawer, you would see a list of all the activities that you have done for that particular course. So this is a very quick way for you to jump straight to that particular section. For example, if it's assignments, you can click on that. It will list out all the assignments that you have created for that particular course, and then you can jump straight to whether you have a board and so on and so forth. Underneath activities, you have your analytics. For a normal lecturer, you'll be able to see my blended learning status, my students' participation analytics, and non-participative students. Okay, this coming semester, we will initiate a automated way of counting your blended learning status. So please check on your my blended learning status to see whether you have achieved BL status. So right now we are pending because we have not met the requirement for the 7 resources. So you can tell here you need 3 activities, 2 assessments, and 7 resources, plus you need to have at least a minimum of 1 response from the students, because we do not want 0 interaction activities. And then at least for the assessments, a minimum of 3 responses or submissions from the students. That will give you BL status achieved. So this is something you can check as the semester goes on to see whether you achieve this. And at the end of the semester, if you have achieved it, CFLEX will therefore issue you a certificate to show that you have achieved blended learning status for that course for that particular semester. Let's go back to our course. Now, this sandbox course, I have created it for any of you to come in, enroll, and to play with the course homepage itself. So it's a safe space for you to try out things and so on and so forth. On top here is normally where you put your announcement. So here I have put a description of what the sandbox is. I have put a little, this is my announcement form where I give out various announcements. Here I just put out something called how to use the sandbox. It's something for my participants to read. Next, I have a Moodle video that shows you what is a course in the context of Moodle. So this is a very short video. It's about 2 minutes long that you can click and watch, and it will actually explain to you the various components of a course. And then I also have a URL link to the official Moodle documentation concerning the course homepage. So here is a more in-depth detailed description of what a course homepage is, including all the various things you can do in deeper detail. So this is from the official site itself. And next, I really want you to take part in this particular activity if you're already in. Basically, I'm just asking a question. Should CFLEX have more webinars in the future? You can put there either yes, no, or maybe. So any participant of this particular course can take part in this little choice activity. But all of this I had put up front here for my participants to read. So this is a good area for you to put the description, your learning outcomes, and what your expectations are for your participant. To do that, you just click on edit mode and add your content, or in this case for the descriptions side, you just click on edit settings and you are able to edit the description. Okay, I will not do that now. I just click cancel. With edit mode on, you are now able to add you can add content. It's either activity or resources or a subsection, or you can add a section. So these are the components of your main course homepage that you can work with. Once you have added any of these content, you can actually move them up or down depending on where you want to place it. So there's a lot of experimentation here that you can use. You can also use your course index to move your content up or down depending on where you want to place it. So this is a very quick way for you to rearrange your course content. So let me show you the activity chooser. So when you click on add content, activity or resource, there's a lot of activities to choose from. Okay. And I have to say now, right now, you are seeing all of the available tools that we have for your course homepage. Now, in Moodle's terminology, if there is interaction between students, between the teachers, then it is considered an activity. And that's why in this list for activities, any tool that has this form of interaction, a two-way interaction between the lecturers and the students, between students and students, it is considered an activity. But among the activities, you have other categories like resources. Resources are very much one-way tools, meaning you put up a file for download, you create a folder where you keep your resources inside, which the student download. So there's no interaction in a sense of like replying to you or leaving a comment, things like that. These are called resources, and they are counted as resources to your blended learning status. For assessments, we have assignment, quiz, and right now I have it on, which is the Turnitin plagiarism assignment submission. For the coming semester, I will turn this off because we are using a different strategy when it comes to Turnitin, which I will explain a little bit later. So for assessments, we currently are looking at assignments and quizzes as counted as assessments. Okay, so these are all the various tools that we have in eLEAP for you to use. This afternoon, I will touch on probably the 10 tools that is very useful for your course that you can run, as well as the various other tools that are available here. It's a lot to cover, and there's a lot to explore as a teacher, depending on what you want to do in your class in terms of activities and so on and so forth. So for this course right now, I have created various activities that you can explore. For example, I have a test database where students can submit links and things like that for this database. I'm particularly happy with this one because a Moodle tools board, you can set up something like Padlet for Moodle using this board activity. This is something you can run. For example, you ask the students to introduce themselves, and then they'll just add a little note to this board to introduce themselves. So these are activities you can run with your students. We have a whole webinar on H5P interactive content because this is we find this as a very useful tool that teachers can use when you deal with interactive content. So videos, quizzes, so on and so forth. You can use this. Forums are very useful also. In this case, I have a forum in this class right now called Using Moodle for Your Online Class, which you can take part in. There are sticky notes, so on and so on. So these activities you can use. For resources, I have a little thing called resource pack. So here's an idea that you can utilize in your class, which I had a bit of thought about this. We want to encourage students to use probably notebook, Gemini notebook. So why not you create a folder, which is, this is basically you add a resource folder, and in that folder, you put in the sources. For example, here I put in a infographic, I put happy contact student generative. It is a PDF because the student can now download the whole folder, and then they can upload all these resources into the Gemini notebook as resources. And then you give them an assignment based on this particular resource pack. So this is a nice way of using AI, in this case Gemini notebook, as a assignment or as an activity for your students. Of course, at the end of the day, I would actually ask my students, once they have submitted their assignment, to also do a presentation, because anyone can submit an AI written assignment, but not anyone can actually present it well. So this is something you can do using this particular activity. Okay. So very good. You are playing around with the sandbox. This is the idea of a sandbox where you can come in and create. Okay. So under assessments, you can also see that I have created various types of assessment using what is available. Assignment submission, test quizzes. We have a whole webinar on quizzes coming up, so do take part in that, because quizzes itself is a little bit complicated, but if you set it up well, you can run very, very good quizzes using it. We have peer assessment using the peer assessment tool. We have a workshop. This itself, I believe, requires a webinar on its own, just to show you how you can run assignment submission plus peer assessment as one whole activity. Okay, so I'm just giving you the intro to these things. Okay, now this area here, if you notice, you will not see it if you log in, because I have locked this to only me. So in actual fact, you can create your own section and only have you yourself be able to see it and be able to edit it or add things into that section. So in a sandbox, if you plan to run your own little experiments and activities, and you don't want other people to disturb what you're doing, what you can do is, once you create your section, under the settings, you go to restrict access, and you do a little bit of rules here. You set a rule where the student must match the following, whereby I say here, add restriction by user profile. I put our first name contains Maclean. So now when I say changes, only I am allowed access to this particular section, where I can now experiment with various tools without having those tools exposed to other members. So if you plan to experiment using the sandbox, I highly recommend that you take this approach. So if you don't want your particular sections to be disturbed by other members. So, but then this is something I encourage everyone to do. If you are using the sandbox as your testing area, as your where you want to test all these things. Okay. So this is an overview of your course homepage and so on and so forth. Okay, so are we all good, or do you want me to go back to a section to explain it more? Are we all good? Everyone very quiet right now. Yes, I'm so. Can't see my screen. Oh, hold on. Let me try this again. Can you see it now? Oh, okay. Blended learning, is it? There was a question concerning blended learning. Okay. Every course, on the right hand side, you have a block drawer. So sometimes I realize a lot of us have it closed. So to open it, there is a little arrow on the right hand side of your course. So if you click on that, it will open the block drawer. Okay. And towards the bottom, you have my blended learning status. So when you click on that, this runs a little script that looks at your course and lets you know whether you have achieved your blended learning status based on these parameters: 3 activities, 2 assessments, and 7 resources. Activities must have a minimum of 1 response, and assessment must have a minimum of 3 responses or submissions from students. Right? So this is available for you throughout the semester, and you can kind of like do a check for yourself to see whether you have achieved or not this particular thing. So once you achieve blended learning status, CPLEX will issue a certificate for you at the end of the semester. Is that all right? Right. Any other questions? Yes, Rima. Why? Hold on. I'm trying to catch up with. You cannot add activity. Is that the question, Rima? Uh, you turn on. You click on edit mode. At the top here, next to your profile, you turn on edit mode. You did? Hmm? Okay, hold on. I think I know why. Can you now refresh your screen, Rima? Yeah. How do I join this? How do I join the sandbox? Under course search, just click search for CPLEX Classroom. It will give you all of the open courses that I have created that you can join. So here is the my Moodle Sandbox LMS training. You click on that link, it will ask you if you want to enroll in the course. My course. Oh, the blended learning certificate is available through another system called Blast. How does this link to my course files? Okay, I'm trying to make sense of this question. But we issue the certs for those who have achieved blended learning status. This one you will need, can you please check with your colleagues on this one? I am not privy to this info right now. Okay. You want to set, okay, restricted mode on the section. Yes, forums are available in eLEAP. This afternoon, I will talk a little bit more on forums and how to set them up. Okay, to set up restrictions to the sections, in the section itself, you click on these three buttons on the side and you go to edit settings, restrict access. Okay, Muhammad Ashari, is that okay? Yes, there will be a recording of this webinars. All of our webinars will be recorded, so you can refer back to them afterwards, right? I prefer a more interactive sections with all of you. So if there's any questions concerning what we have looked through this morning, do keep them coming, and I will show it to you. So this is basically Yes, eLEAP, okay. The eBlast system will be open towards the end of the semester. So when you log into your Blast, the eBlast system, the Blast system, that is where you can download the certificates. Okay. Uh, this is actually a good question. Um, is there a simple way to group the students, or we need to do it manually? Okay. There is an activity here where under group you can do group choice, group self-selection, where the students themselves select which group they want to join, and group two. So if you want the students to kind of join the group on their own, then this particular tool, group self-selection, is probably what you can use. So the participants can create groups, give them descriptions, and set it up themselves. So this way, the students are the ones who take initiative to create the groups and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is something that you can use, and I will touch a little bit on it this afternoon when we talk about the activities in more details. Grouping for the course. Yeah, when you create a group, the group is for the course, and then you can set it like any activity, whether you want to run the activities for the groups, individual activities for the groups, or because the group is for the course, not necessarily for the activities. Yes, content upload has a limit, is about 50 megabytes. Okay, this is concerning submissions. Under the assignment submission settings, mission settings under your assignment setting, allow attempts once. So you want to reject the submission after they submitted, or you want to limit that they can only submit? Because to me, I would limit how many attempts they can, and under availability due date, have enable the due date. So this is the when the due date is up, they cannot submit the assignments anymore because the link will be grayed out. Okay, group choice. Uh, okay, this takes still can submit lah. Okay, that's very funny. Okay, hold on. Okay, peer assignment and peer grades. Okay. Um, right now, I'm developing a plugin called Peer Grades for the medical faculty. And it is you can run a peer assessment of group members every week. So it's kind of like an activity they do every week. So we are developing this particular peer assessment tool for students to assess each other in regards to their group work. So this is peer grades and peer assessment. There is a slight difference in peer grades and peer assessment. Peer grades is a little bit more rigid in terms of its rules. So there are particular rules we built in. For example, a student cannot give full marks to more than two of their group mates. So we want to make sure that it is done, dia tak sembarangan bagi full mark to all the members. So they think very carefully who they want to give full marks to. So these type of things are built into peer grades. So this itself, okay. Okay. Oh, shit. Okay. But if you have set this back to Puan Malia's question, you should set all this by right. They should not be able to submit beyond the due date. Okay. I will need to take a look at how you set up your course, so we can handle this a little bit later on. Okay. Right. Any more questions concerning eLEAP and your Moodle course homepage based on what you have seen this morning? A lot of things concerning activities I will cover in the afternoon webinar. All right. Yes, there is a difference between group choice, group self-selection, and group two. For now, I am playing around with a group choice, group self-selection, because that is an activity where the students themselves, in group selection, group choice, you create a group and then the students choose which group they want to join. Of course, under settings, you can limit the number of people in the group, or available groups, selected groups, things like this, and all that. You can set a general limitation to how many students can join that particular group. So this is under group choice. To do this, you need to create the groups first, and then the students will then pick and choose which group they want to go into. So this is something that I am trying out right now, and it seems to be working out. Okay, so here. What if they join the wrong group? Then they join the wrong group. So I think they will. It will happen. So another way is, it's a bit hard, is that sometimes students, they tend to do things out of control sikit lah. So when you allow the students to be more independent in doing these things, this type of mishaps will happen. One, you either put a rule to say that they have to go along with, be responsible for that choice. In order, they made that decision to join that group, they can't like go back on it or something like that. So that's probably a rule I would set in my course. Like, if you made that choice, you stick to that choice. There is a block for calendar. Yes. If you under edit mode in your when you add block calendar, under settings, you can apply permissions or configure it, so your students will be able to view this. And this is local to your apa tu? This is local to your course. So you can set up these things in your course. Do we choose again? I believe under group choice, you can, I need to check this, you can set it for them to re-choose their group. But I need to look at the documentations again. Okay, was it 𝐂𝐟𝐥𝐞𝐱 𝐖𝐞𝐛𝐢𝐧𝐚𝐫? Okay, all right. Okay, like I said, Moodle is very deep, it's very broad, and there's a lot of variables that can happen, and a lot of these things is by experience and by experimentation. I do not claim to know everything. I myself will experiment and try out new things, new features, new plugins that is put up on the developer's website to see whether it suits our needs. So a lot of this requires experimentations, and I do encourage you to join the sandbox, run your own experimentations, get your colleagues to try out some of the ideas you have when you want to use that particular tool and all that, and kind of like have that sense of how you can use that tool, right? So that comes from just working with your course homepage and running these experiments and trying it out and reading also the documentation. Every activity has a little I button. If you click on it, it will give you the key features, it will give you how to use it, just a brief description. Some will actually take you to, for example, like the group choice, it will actually take you to the official documentation on the Moodle website. So guidelines, things like that. Okay? So all of this is an adventure that you can take in learning uh, the tools that you can use. So, and then one thing also, you will experience a time where you are actually building on all the accumulated knowledge that you have. So you may start with some a very basic course homepage, and as the semester goes along, you add to it and you improve onto it, and as you move on to the other semesters, you add more things to your course to make it a little bit more interactive and so on and so forth. So it, in essence, a learning process for you also as you deliver your course online, as you teach online. Uh, I do have a course that a free course that from Moodle itself on the dashboard for how to design and facilitate an online course. So you can join this course and it's kind of like a self-directed learning, and read through some of the documentations in this particular course that touches on how to run an online course and so on and so forth. So do take some time to just go through some of this literature that's available, run some of the activities, and have a feel of what uh, you can do as a teacher on an online course. Right? So we got 10 more minutes. Any other questions concerning eLEAP and Moodle? Attendance. Okay. Very good question from Muhammad Azhari and Chu Kim Mei. Attendance and grade book are two areas that require a webinar by itself. And I will take note on this because I would like to also introduce the use of the grade book, which will help you greatly in terms of marking and things like that, and also it tied up to attendance too. One way I realized that you look at the attendance based on the participation of your students in your particular course. Now, see if you're looking for students who do not attend, they have never logged into your course, you can actually click on your right hand side, non-participative students. If you click on that, it will give you a list of people who have not logged into this course. So in this case, my own boss, though I added him, has not logged in yet. So I would know. So this for Muhammad Azhari, we put this there. You will see students who have not logged into your course. Okay, under non-participative students. This link is available to all teachers on the blog, uh, on the blog here under analytics. Okay. And as for grade category works and how to set it on that, I will be running another webinar on just this particular section here called grades, because it's very deep and it ties up to all the activities uh, in your course. And also, there was a question from some of our colleagues about rubrics. So you can actually set up rubrics in when you grade the particular activity and all that. So that is a webinar by itself in just that particular topic of grades and things like that. Okay, so we will take note of this and I will announce it as we go along. Okay. Yes. Let's see. Hmm. All right. So, any more questions? We have another 7 more minutes before we will open again the online attendance. Oh, okay. We can bring that up. How to use Google Meet effectively. That's a webinar by itself. Yeah, Google Meet effectively. We can bring this up. Actually, one of the things I would like to do, but moving on in the future, is to integrate Google Workspace into Moodle itself. So you can run Google Meet, run some of the activities under the Workspace features in Moodle itself. So, but yes, we will take note on this. If you guys require a webinar on just Google Meet itself, we can bring this up. Okay. Yes, Ron, give it a try. The best way to kind of like run and learn about Moodle is actually to try out everything. Do not be afraid to make mistakes. The worst you can do is actually delete a section and all that. So just give it a try. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just try out all the features, see the different combos. Video content tracks, huh? I would say keep it short, about 1 to 2 minutes. But it really depends on your content. And one way I really encourage everyone to do is to put your video as a under video track, link it to Moodle. Link it to YouTube. Have your video contact on YouTube, and Moodle pull it from YouTube. So the size of your video does not affect our Moodle. It's run off YouTube. So for the video track here, it is as long as you want, but for teaching and learning purposes, kalau boleh, not too long, because our student, anything above 5 to 6 minutes to the current generation is considered long. So normally, like even Moodle themselves, their videos run between 2 to 3 minutes for each little component. So I would suggest about that. I would say set it to public and then pull the link. Yes. Okay. Right now, in the coming semester, we will have a one-stop center for Turnitin. Okay, that's a good question there. Let me pull out. Yeah. So what we were going to do next semester in terms of Turnitin is when you create an assignment submission, a normal assignment submission, you state in the requirements for the submission that the students should or must upload a Turnitin report. So along with the assignment, they need to submit a Turnitin report, and then you set up this assignment activity in your course homepage. The students then will read this, and they, in return, will need to go to this page here, the Turnitin portal, where they self-enroll as a student and they upload their particular document to the monthly draft checker, and then download the report and submit that to you. So in this way, why we chose to do this? Currently, we have 6,000 accounts for Turnitin, and our usage is 13,000. Primarily because every time a lecturer set up a Turnitin assignment submission link on their course, the Turnitin automatically locks the number of students in their course to that Turnitin. So I give you an example, and we saw this in RU, where they created an assignment submission link, and automatically about 900 students was locked to that particular submission. So out of the 6,000, 900 is already locked. So no one can utilize that. So this became quite prevalent. So across the board, every time you create an assignment submission, it will Turnitin will automatically lock in the number of accounts, and it gets a little bit more complicated when the course does not have an end date, because then your class is forever open and the accounts are continuously locked. And this happens even if the assignment is visible or hidden. So when you do a backup and you restore a backup and you have an assignment submission, a Turnitin assignment submission in your backup which you restore, it will then automatically lock the number of student accounts based on the number of students you have in that course. So in order to kind of like work around this particular behavior of Turnitin, next semester we will set up, we will run a one-stop center where it is now the responsibility of the student to upload their work and download the report and submit that along with the assignment submission they need to see. Okay, so this is kind of like how we will handle this issue. Okay, so truth of the matter is, it's a good problem in the sense that we are using Turnitin, but we are using double of what we are actually subscribing to. So trying to get everyone a chance to use Turnitin, this is the particular strategy that we are employing. And we learned this from other universities who faced the same issue like we did. So this is the approach we're taking for the coming semester. So right now, if you do have assignment submissions tool, and you need to keep a record of your students' assignments that they submitted, please download them to have a copy on your own machine, because by the time the new semester starts, I will disable that particular plugin that allows Turnitin assignment submission. Right. So okay, adapt to your question, Dr. Jamali, and to Vanessa and the rest. Yes, I will have a webinar on just peer assessments alone, because I realize this is something a lot of our lecturer colleagues want to run in the course. So there are several approaches that we can take using eLEAP. So peer assessment will be on our list of particular webinars, as well as the grade book just now. How accurate is the AI track by Turnitin? For now, I'll be very honest with all of you. There is no one so-called AI tracking that is accurate on the planet. So it is a perceived value, and it is really to the discretion of the user to make kind of like a decision on that particular number. So I would say in this case that the AI tracking it may not be as accurate, and please do not kind of like base a strong opinion on the number that is given back to you, because we have had cases where people have totally written a very good article, and when they submit it for AI checking and all that, it comes back 100%. So even those who have very good writing skills, you may be flagged as AI writing. So things like this has happened, and therefore you can use it as a test, but do not treat it as absolute in this case. All right. Okay, so we are past 11 o'clock. So thank you very much for all of you who have taken part. By all means, feel free to email me or reach out to me in CFlex, because there's so much under Moodle that we can cover, as well as if you do have problems in your settings and so on and so forth, do reach out to us, or even make time to just pop into our office, so that we can actually have a sit down and a one-to-one, and I can address your issues straight on a one-to-one basis, things like that. We are here to assist you, and a lot of these things, if you sit down with us, can easily be rectified. So with that, thank you very much, everyone, and I'll see you this afternoon at 2:30 when we look at tools and activities. So